Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Andreas. I hope you guys had an awesome weekend. I for sure know that 8 players, and one in particular, had an awesome weekend. And speaking about that, today's video is going to be not 1, not 2, but 3 draft walkthroughs from the Vegas qualifier that took place on Saturday. I was very lucky that 3 of these players were willing to save their draft lock and share them with me with the purpose of, putting it under the scope for this piece of content. So welcome aboard. I'm very happy to have you here. As I said, we're going to be looking at 3 draft locks. We're going to be looking into close calls, personal preferences. We're going to be looking into how players act under pressure, how much detail they can pick up on when, trying to keep calm with a lot on the line for obvious reasons, getting to go to Vegas and draft the cube in real life for obvious reasons. That is an amazingly big prize. And yeah, I'm just very, very excited. So we're going to start off with Pascal Maynard's draft lock. Pascal was very, very nice to send me his draft lock, deck picture, and some thoughts. But yeah, now I'm going to apply my thoughts, and I hope you will too in the comments, because this is going to be pretty epic and, an exclusive look into these draft locks. So starting off with a bang here, we have this pack. Pascal ends up taking the Ocelot Pride, and when I talked to him, he said he basically based this decision around the fact that it was close with Entomb, but there is a demonic tutor in there, so he didn't want to put his, next door neighbor into black. Then you have to fight pack 2, maybe you don't get your pieces, etc., etc. So he ends up favoring the Ocelot Pride. He also told me that he likes white a lot as a color, so a lot of personal preference goes into this pick. So you can argue that Demonic Tutor was the pick here. You can argue that a Fetchland was the pick here. You can argue the Entomb was the pick here. Pascal decides to say black Fetch, black Tutor, another black Enabler. You guys go have fun with those. I'll try and find my lane in mono white. So with that choice, what does Pascal do next? Let's see. Next pack here, and Pascal is obviously, first of all, looking for another premier white card, stuff like Plow, Ajani, Parallax Wave, Parallax Jailer, stuff like that. But since Flicker Wisp is only a mediocre white card, and that card would wheel if white is open anyway, Pascal goes for the Bloodstain Mire. While this is not an ideal pick, but it is a card that will be good in Boros, which the Ocelot Pride is also good in. So Ocelot Pride into Fetchland so far. And this is exactly what Pascal want to see in Pack 3. Pack 3, Premier White card, Solitude is the easy pick. Other good cards in the pack are basically only the Headliner Scarlet. Everything else is medium. So yeah, pretty ideal run out here. Pascal is right now probably thinking that if the white is just open, he wants to go mono white, right? But then here comes this pack. So Ephemerate is like a role player in these decks, in my opinion, and evidently also in Pascal's opinion. Please note that Pascal already picked up Bloodstain Mire, which is a card that no matter what will help him play Fire Covenant. So right now, branching into a double colored card in 2 different colors, but it's backed up by a fetch land, so it's not that crazy. Let's see. Next pack has, once more, very bad white card, or at least super fringe white card. So Pascal decides to take Remand. Here, Pascal is basically saying, I want to take the best card out of the pack, I want to follow the signals, and see where that takes me. Alright, so far so good. Pick 6 is where, the classic, I've talked about this on the channel a bunch. Sometimes you can take, like, Probe, Dismember, Smuggler's Copter, and you can kind of, stay. You don't have to, take any risk. You just, follow along. It's going to make your deck. It's going to be fine, right? Other choices here, you can mention Mana Confluence. It is a life loss duel, which Fire Covenant is not that happy about. But I'm fine about the Probe. No fuss there. Then here is where things get a little interesting. So Pascal is basically saying, I don't want to take a tier 2 white card, but I might take this, similarly powerful to Elspeth blue card that goes well with my Remand. Maybe blue is open. It's basically what Pascal is speculating here, which, totally fine. Next pick, there's a lot of good lands. Pascal ends up taking the Esper Duel, which goes with, his white cards, his blue cards, and half of the Fire Covenant splash. So not much to report there. And here we see Pascal wheeling Jace Rince Prodigy, another solid blue card, maybe slightly worse than Remand, slightly better than Spelljacker, around that, I will say. Here's an interesting pick. Expressive Iteration being red. Not sure about that. I think maybe at this point Pascal was trying to make the Fire Covenant work, and if he was going to make that work, maybe he would have enough red mana to also make Expressive Iteration work. You can argue that Pascal should pick up the image here. Do note that it's not working with Jace, but it will work with most white creatures and the opponent's stuff. Who knows? Next pick is Dig Through Time, pretty clear cut. Pascal doesn't have that much stuff that fuels the Dig Through Time. That's like, the cantrips and the fetches and the, the Oust of the world, the Plows of the world, Mana Tithe, like cheap 1-for-1s yet, but he can get there. Here, Pascal, out of a pack with nothing, just takes Kaito. Free Venser might make the deck. Free Gush. I will say at this point, Gush is looking incredibly fringe, but he's not taking it over anything, so it's fine. Revoker, I don't like it in the main deck that much, but I like it as a decent sideboard card when you know what your opponent's playing, right? Proactively name Sneak Attack, proactively name whatever, Recurring Nightmare. You get the picture. What do we have here? Pack 2, Pascal opens this. He's currently trying to slot into some blue-white, potentially with splashes, so let's have a look at this. So best cards in this pack are, Vamp, a little bit of True Name, Nantuko and Deluge are awesome, but not for Pascal, obviously. So he ends up taking the Chromox here. I will say with Chromox, you need to make sure you get your, your Adelions of the world and just like your snowball-y type threads. Because if you're just, playing a solid 3-drop ahead of schedule that doesn't accumulate any advantage, it's not that great. You can easily get, the opponent can easily answer it, and thus, the effectiveness is not really there, but whatever. Pretty unexciting first pick, but that's how it goes sometimes. Here's an exciting pick. Second pick, Parallax Wave, is excellent. Parallax Wave is going to be awesome. We've talked about that card a lot on the channel. If you play it, especially in a creature deck, you get rid of your opponent's creatures, attack a couple of times, you win the game. It's clearing tokens. It's playing around mass removal. Awesome card. Yeah, pick 3. So here is where it starts to shine for Pascal here. The blue-white color combination is getting rewarded. Nice Tundra. Does not go with the Bloodstained Mire, but is awesome. What is he even taking it over? I guess over Snapcaster Mage. So now we have an interesting one where Pascal gets another quality card, 4th pick. This is right around the time you want to take Palace Jailer and feel great. You first pick it, you don't feel, overly excited. If you get it later than this, you're over the moon. Could have taken Teferi. At this point, I think the mindset is which card is more likely to wheel, and Pascal decides that the blue-white multicolor card is more likely to wheel, so let's see about that. Wow, yeah, here's very nice, very, very nice fetch land here for Pascal. It goes with the Tundra. It's perfect, fuels the yard for Dig Through Time, etc. Great card. Commando, we can get on the wheel if we're lucky. All right, pick 6. So I see Council's Judgment is being taken here over Hallowed Fountain. So you can argue, oh, he already has a Tundra, but in my opinion, you can't really get enough of those. Like, you really need your mana to work, especially if you're looking to add double blue cards later. You want to be able to cast cards like, Mana Drain, Counterspell, True Name Nemesis, whatever the case may be. And you also want to be able to cast double white cards. Well, sure, like Council's Judgment, but also, Adeline, Skyclave Apparition, and the 4 jobs that Pascal already picked up. So yeah, I'm big on the Hallowed Fountain here. Pascal takes the Council's Judgment. At this point, I feel like he's drafting as if white is not open. Let's see which other pick I thought about that. When looking at, can't remember now. There's some pick where it's like, you actually think somebody else is heavy white, but yeah, whatever. Let's just move on here. Next pack is Usher of the Fallen in a pack with almost nothing. So I mean, if you're going to be blue white tempo aggro control type, fish strategy, this card is fine. It's nothing to write home about. The other alternative is like hating a dam since you're playing in a pod, but I think it's going to be fine. It looks like Pascal gets a little bit bailed out here with the Seachrome Coast. Pretty nice pickup in a otherwise weak pack. I mean, Winds of Abandon, great sideboard card. Whenever I have to main deck this card, I'm not, overly excited about my deck, but, it's fine. Pascal ends up wheeling the True Name Nemesis, which is awesome. I will say the double blue and double white is starting to look a bit scary, especially having passed the Hello Fountain. Selfless Spirit also came back around, so yeah, Pascal is living his best life here. Here, Pascal is picking up Memory Jar, which is a card I'm close to 0% that he's going to play. It's like if he picks up a late Narset or not Bowmasters, well, also that, I guess, Hull Breacher. I mean, there is a world where this card ends up in his deck, but in my opinion, I want to hate a card here, probably the Unholy Heat, but it's nothing major. Here, Coveted Jewel gets picked up, but to be fair, over nothing. Wrath of God, pretty nice to get to hate pick that card. You can argue that speculating on Sechia is better, because if you get some red fixing, you already have a Bloodstained Mire, etc., etc. The casting this card is actually powerful, but I don't mind hating the Wrath, taking Beseju, and rounding out with a Stitcher Supplier. So, going into pack 3, Pascal is looking to improve his mana situation and get some cheap interaction. Or a Black Lotus here, pretty easy pick. Next best card for Pascal would be something like the Memory Lapse. Even Interrupter, poor man's Memory Lapse, but will do the trick. Let's see. Okay, next pack, Pascal is taking Daze. I love that play. With the blue-white super fair type deck, you want to, play some solid stuff on 2, 3, 4, and then if you can Daze your opponent's 4-drop while doing that, you're winning the game. So, love the Daze pick. And here's Elite Spellbinder over something like Fabled Passage to improve the mana, or Cryptic. It's not super clear how well Pascal is set up for triple blue yet. I like the Spellbinder pick, it's fine. I think it's close for me with the Fabled Passage, but I just, really enjoy having good mana. And here's an interesting one, Sheldred being the best card in this pack. Pascal decides to pick Chromehose Seed Shark, which is interesting because Pascal, as you remember, already picked up Gush and already picked up Dig Through Time, which are cards that are just super good with Seed Shark. Even a card like Daze, like these cheap cards, or that gets you a bigger token, so to speak. So Seed Shark, very, very strong pickup. And now Pascal is trying to live his best life here with Treachery Seed Shark, effectively 0 mana if you have the first 5 to put into it. I mean, I don't hate this pick, I don't love this pick. I think, if I remember correctly, Pascal already has quite a few 4-drops and even the Spelljacker on 5, so I think I would have prioritized a cheaper card, whether that's Legionnaire, it probably is, or Consider. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. But yeah, I'm just not super interested in the 5-drop at this point. Now, Pascal picks up Displacer Kitten over not much, unless you count speculating on black this late for something. I really don't. Chromatic Star also doesn't seem to have that many synergies, if any. So picking up a Kitten here will maybe lead Pascal to play the Coveted Jewel that he already picked up. Let's see about that. Next pack, it's basically like Shredder versus Samwise. I think without, Mox, Mishra's Bauble, Brainstorm, Preordain, like those churning cards, Shredder is not that great. Samwise is good with Fetch Land. Samwise is good with Parallax Wave. Samwise is good if the game is about resources, the opponent killing your stuff, basically. And here we basically have Apparition versus Glimmerlens. At this point, it's a matter of curve for me. I guess we can check the deck picture out in a second after the draft. Let's say my curve was looking funky. I take the 2-drop. Let's say I'm doing fine on cheap cards. I'm taking the Apparition. I really like the removal of that, like the effect on this card. Trumpeting Carnosaur, we're just hate picking something. I don't want to say at random, but we're just hate picking at this point. The card that goes big, more realistically, I guess, than Ulamog. Let's say you have like a red-black deck, killing a creature, then reanimating this creature. That's way more likely than Ulamog ever doing anything. So, like that pick. And here we're hating on the same deck, basically. Red-black. Could have hated on some other decks, but I agree with taking a Theater. We even wield the Cryptic Command. I think I would personally have preferred the Cryptic Coat here. But let's see how the mana shakes out. I think in order to play Cryptic Command, you need like 11 or 12 blue sources. Let's see what Pascal can do when it's all said and done. And here's a Talisman, which is interesting. Talisman is generally not, unless you have artifact synergies, Talisman is not really ideal because most good decks these days, they don't want to bridge from 2 to 4. They just simply have stuff to do on turn 2 to 3 as well, right? So this card does not let you curve out and impact the board, but it tries and ramp into 4. But then again, Pascal has Palace Jailer, Cryptic Command, Parallax Wave, so maybe this is the exception to that rule, and it being blue and white, maybe the mana is not perfect. I don't mind this pick. I mean, Mishra's Bauble is great with Samwise and just solid in a deck in general, so I guess the final deck list will tell. Yeah, not much to say here. We're hating the mana sources because you generally don't want your opponent to cast their spells, and we're not as scared of these mediocre spells. That's basically the thing. Tendrils went super late, pack 1, so Pascal is not scared to not hate pick the Wish Claw here. And yeah, 15th pick, 45th pick even, Outland Liberator. So with that being said, let's have a look here at the final deck. This is Pascal's final deck list that he submitted. So worth noting is, first, let me count the blue sources, because we're registering Cryptic Command, True Name Nemesis in the same deck as Council's Judgment and Aberration. We want white mana turn 1, etc., etc. So let's check out the blue sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so with the Talisman, I would say Pascal got there on the mana, which is super cool because he has some high card quality. So let's see. We're playing the Kitten Jewel package. I will say, against, assertive, let's say red-green or like mono-red decks, red-black aggressive decks, that package is just not strong. So it looks like Pascal is basically saying, well, I have a lot of the white cards, so maybe there's like one Boros deck in the draft, then there's going to be one aggressive green deck, and then maybe one, green deck that wants to go big, some control deck. And against those, I actually like the package. So I just noticed that we have like Wrath of God, Usher, Selfless Spirit, Jace in the sideboard. I mean, we have serviceable cards in the sideboard, but Pascal decides that he wants, the upside of, lotusing out a Jewel, playing a Kitten, playing a Probe, blinking the Jewel, like going crazy, which is fine. Like, that's just a point of view and which percentages you want to squeeze. And those were the percentages that Pascal wanted to squeeze. From my point of view, I wanted some more stuff down here in the, 1, 2, 3 slots, preferably 2, with the logic that if I draw Black Lotus, everything's going to be fine, so I want to plan for the times that I don't. That's my opinion, and that's the beauty about especially Vintage Cube. Anybody can have different opinions, and there's not like a Bible on right and wrong. So it's all happening somewhat fast in the heat of the moment as well, so lots of stuff goes into this. I've had time to, I briefly looked through Pascal's draft log, and I saw his deck picture. So, I mean, I've even had more time to think about it than he did real time. So, not too much to say there, other than there are definitely more ways that lead to Rome. So yeah, let's have a look at the deck here. Couple of counters, very good late game. I will say this does not look like the best Palace Jailer deck ever, but I guess we have a Black Lotus, so weird things can happen. The Seed Shark is trying to take advantage of Gush, Treachery, and Dig Through Time being, expensive spells that are hopefully cast for cheaper. We do end up playing the Venser. So sad we can't play our Bloodstained Mire that we picked up, but yeah, that's just how it goes. Spec on Mire and Fire Covenant did not pay out for Pascal, but yeah, that's how it goes. So overall, this deck looks super solid. You have a Black Lotus, you have a lot of potential, and you're playing against 7 good players, so nobody's going to have a bonkers deck. That's just how it goes. You can have a bonkers deck when you play a league against, let's say, 4 inexperienced players, but that's simply not possible in the last top 8 Vegas qualifier. So with that being said, that's going to do it for Pascal's deck, and we're on to the next one. All right, guys, quick message here. If you want to have access to my deck guides, my strategy articles, whether you want to pitch me a sweet deck to play on the channel, whether you want to look into coaching, or simply just want to say thank you for the content I put out, please check out my Patreon below and become a Baron today. Now, let's get back to the games. All right, thanks for sticking with me. Let's have a look at the next deck, and now we have Juju Bean lined up. Juju Bean is one of my favorite players. He's a master at playing old formats, including Cube, and this is going to be a sweet one. Let's get to it. So Juju Bean is staring down the barrel of this pack. So what do you do here? I mean, you have a, let me just go full, yeah, like this. This is way better. So Juju Bean has the choice between fetch land and sneak attack, basically. And I agree fully about the fetch line pick. The fetch line lets you stay open, pairs well with triomes, lets you play better cards. Whereas the sneak attack, you're looking for very specific things. With fetches, you're looking for, just have better mana and the option to take the best card out of more packs. So, Scalding Tarn, the first pick, we are setting somebody up with sneak attack. That means it's gonna be unlikely we can get into some big creature shenanigans. Let's see. To follow it up, Juju Bean goes for a Hull Breacher out of an otherwise pretty weak pack. I think Hull Breacher is a lot better than the next best card, which is probably Fractured Identity. So yeah, Scalding Tarn into Hull Breacher. Right now, we are setting ourselves up for something like Time Twister, Wheel, mainly those two things. And that's cool. Hull Breacher is super solid card even without that. All right, third pack, we have the choice between the Force of Negation that was taken and some fixing, I'll say here. If you start taking a Triome here, it goes very well with Tarn. All of a sudden, Tarn, if you play Mountain, turns into a quad land. But Juju Bean decides that since Force of Negation is the only blue card in this pack, that it's close enough between these options that he simply wants to go for it. You can even argue this is fine to begin with. I'm mainly trying to say it has even more value because it was the last blue card in the pack. So, pretty solid start here. Pick 4. So now Juju says, okay, fetch land is a lot better than Triome, which I agree with. Jace's Prodigy is worse than Negation, which I also agree with. So now he's back on the Verdant Catacombs. Worth noting is, here's the Entomb. Pick 4 Entomb is some kind of sign, but Juju Bean just shipped Sneak Attack, Exhume, Recurring Nightmare. So maybe the next player down is going to reap the rewards of this. Juju Bean now with a cool start with double fetch. Hack 5 is an interesting one. Juju decides to take No More Lies while having no white sources, but having 2 fetches. So No More Lies is basically a mana leak that is harder to cast. It's slightly more powerful with exiling the spell. So yeah, that is very interesting. I would actually have preferred to take the Headquarters here, but Juju might have some idea about green being the least important color because he obviously likes blue-white, and that's all. There's also blue-white in this land, so can be something about cutting blue control cards. Can be something a preference towards not going green. Pretty interested about that one. No More Lies is the pick though. So now Juju has another interesting decision. He can basically, from my point of view, pick between Oust, Dig Through Time, and Baleful Strix. With already having 2 fetches, I'm surprised Juju goes for the let's call it a tier 2 removal spell versus going for something like Dig Through Time that can even help put together some Hull Breacher draw 7 combos in the mid game. If you take Strix here, I guess that's too much of a stretch when it comes to the mana, but that was kind of the No More Lies pick as well. So let's see what Juju has cooking here. A couple of white cards here getting picked. And now, yeah, pretty bread and butter here. You take the solid blue card. You can say this card is like slightly better than JVP. It's slightly worse than Force of Negation. It's a good card in any blue deck. So if Juju can get away with picking solid blue cards out of the packs, he'll be fine doing that. But he's also branching out. So right now, it looks like Juju wants to play Blue-Eye Control. With the next pick, Juju goes for Lion Sash, which does not exactly line up with the Blue-Eye Control theory. I mean, a card like Venser would be fine in that deck. But yeah, Lion Sash, I mean, he did pass a lot of reanimation cards. So this could simply just be Juju Bean saying, if I'm going to win this tournament, I might have to beat the guy that I passed, Entomb and reanimation stuff with Sneak Attack too. So let's see if it pays off. Lion Sash is the pick. Then Juju Bean goes for Mana Confluence, which generally isn't the best card in control. So Juju might be looking to either not play that card if he gets good enough mana, or simply branch into something more proactive where the damage from Mana Confluence can be circumvented. Pick 10 sees a Dress Down out of a weak pack. I guess you can argue for the Elspeth, but Dress Down is a very, very decent card. Has a lot of applications, countering some ETBs, killing some constructs, stuff like that. And here's a very, very nice gift. The Water Grave is awesome. Juju Bean decides to go for that one, despite not having a black card yet, if I remember correctly. Yeah, no black cards yet, so Specking for the future, has double fetch land that pairs with it. Worth noting is if Juju took the Godless Shrine, Scalding Tarn would not connect with Godless Shrine, but Scalding Tarn connects with Watergrave, so pretty cool. Very late Kappa Cannoneer. This is basically saying, well, maybe nobody's in artifacts. I think the reason to get into artifacts are very, very slim. It's like, you know, some Mox Mana Vault Start, it's Ursa Saga, it's Laren Academy. It's kind of slim. And I'm actually not sure if anybody was in that deck for this particular tournament. Wow, very nice gift here with the Sparus headquarters. So all of a sudden, Juju Bean's mana is really coming together, and flexibility is off the charts for the next pack. Speaking of next pack, Juju Bean is met with a Mox Emerald. Easy pick, obviously. Let's see, are we looking to wheel anything? Something like, I don't know, Spire Bluff Canal maybe Teferi. But it's tough. It's going to be tough. Maybe just the Mind Sculptor, actually. Let's see. Leovold, another possibility. Let's see if Juju can connect on the Hull Breacher combo potential. Wow, this is... So, I know from my friend who actually ended up winning this tournament, spoilers, that he passed Ancestral Recall for Archon of Cruelty in this pack. He was set up in some Reanimator strategy with no, payoff creature, so that pick was very tough. It ended up paying off big time, and he took down the event. So, Oscar, congratulations. You're amazing, and I'm rooting for you in Vegas as well. But yeah, for Juju Bean, that means Ancestral Recall. Come on now. Incredible second pick. Mox into Ancestral. This is where Juju Bean could smell Vegas. Very, very awesome. So what's up next is Dak Faden over Ursa, basically. So Juju Bean is also saying... So I usually go, what's better than one Ancestral Recall? Mystical Tutor would answer 2 Ancestral Recalls, but Juju Bean wants Dak Faden. So at this point, Juju Bean has, let's see, the Hull Breacher. Juju Bean has, yeah, I guess the Hull Breacher. Juju Bean is basically looking to connect with the Draw 7 here, and he wants to have red. He has a Scalding Tarn. He's looking for a Wheel of Fortune. Dak Faden is a card that also combos with Hull Breacher. And is solid on its own, so I think that's what gets the job done over Ursa here. Also, obviously, Juju Bean is kind of low on artifacts, so this is not the best Ursa deck. So the potency with Hull Breacher is definitely why Juju Bean goes for this Dak Faden. We're passing up on Mystical Tutor here, which is, it's acceptable. I like Mystical with Ancestral, Fourth Theolingus, Tinker. I like it with Balance. I guess Channel, Reanimate, and Tomb, stuff like that, right? And we don't have any of those. Speaking of Balance, oh, this is funny. Juju Bean goes for Balance. I know he loves that card with good reason. It's awesome. He just picked up a Mox that makes it better. He has Ancestral, so let's imagine a world where he draws Balance and Ancestral. Juju Bean can go, Balance, then Ancestral, and pull ahead. Very, very awesome. Preordain being the next best card for him this pack. Pick 5 is a Duress. I'm not too excited about Duress because it's so off-color compared to what else we're doing. But I mean, it's fine. If the mana can work, it's a great interactive spell. If it's stuck in your hand, not really. So, who knows? Could have looked at some of the lands. Who am I to judge? So here's a funny payoff for Juju Bean having, like, the Triomes and the random duels. Leyline Binding is maybe like a 1 or 2 mana Oblivion Ring with Flash. Very welcome to the deck. And then to further that plan, Shadowy Backstreet is the pick for pick 7 here out of pack 2. Connects with one of the fetches, helps, put together the mana, a little bit of black, a little bit of white. I don't mind. Here's Snapcaster. Okay, Snapcaster pick 8 is awesome when you have Ancestral Recall. You can tell this pack was just good. Delighted Halfling, Dark Ritual, and Holy Heat. Even like Tameo for the Time Walk player out there. Here we have Teferi versus Leovold. We talked a little bit about what could Juju Bean realistically wheel out of this pack, and it turned out that Teferi was the answer to that question. Pretty cool addition. Here's Vindicate. So Juju Bean is now basically 4-color, no green, if I remember correctly. I guess we'll just check the picture afterwards. Nice Hallowed Fountain. When you're playing 4-color, and you get an 11th pick matching duel, you love it. Here's a nice Wrath. That'll be good against, the green decks at the table, the white decks at the table. This is not of any consequence. I mean, Witherbloom Command can do some small stuff, but, it's hard to cast, etc. Passing up on a graveyard card and a Storm card. And then this is sick. So 14th pick, Toxic Deluge. So now we have 2 sweepers who are really set up against creatures. All right, next pack. Pretty clear fetch land here. Fetch land, double on color, connects with duels and triomes galore. And we wheel anything out of this pack. The scrub land would be pretty nice for the situation. Let's see. Ooh, Tamiyo. Tamiyo is a card that's simply just great on its own, but when you have Ancestral Recall in your deck, it just excels. So yeah, great pickup here. It's not even close. Like what else Juju should be looking at here. Yeah, perfect pickup. Pick 3, Juju Bean is prioritizing the red splash for Dak. It's getting slimmer and slimmer chance that, the Time Twisters of the world, the Wheels of the Fortune, are going to show their ugly faces. So now we're just trying to facilitate the Dak, which is fine. There's also Path to Exile in the pack. There's a Bitter Triumph. But Juju already has 2 sweepers, so I think he's doing fine in that department. Now he's going to go for Memory Lapse over Steam Vents, I guess. This is kind of a weird pick, but I think the fact that he just picked up Thundering Falls makes him go for the Lapse. Let's say he picked up something else in this pack, then he would go for Steam Vents here. It's a contextual pick for where things are going. Also, Juju Bean's playable count might be under duress here. Let's see. So here's Bessa the pick. Yeah, so when he's picking Bessa here over, a land, I think he was on the hunt for playables. Let's see. Flame of Anor. It's really not impressive. I guess his mana isn't good enough to cast Cryptic Command, and he's not really interested in the proactivity of Cryptic Coat. So yeah, he's a control card, combos with Tamiyo being a wizard. And Snapcaster Mage. Okay, yeah, so it's actually good in the deck. Okay, cool. Here's a Brainstorm. Works great with fetches. Great card in general. Taking it over, I would imagine, Bauble. Mendelian Click is, not what it used to be, but it's a solid card that can run out. It can finish off your deck in a way that it's like spell, 20 through 23rd type stuff. It's fine. He does end up wheeling the Scrubland. Love that. Walking Ballista is not, it's like 2 mana kill a mana dork, 4 mana do a little bit more. It's fine, right? It's a filler in your deck if you're not any combo deck. Here's a Blood Tithe Harvester, which I doubt is going to make the deck. But with that being said, I actually don't know Juju's playable count here. Another land to help the Esper deck. Hate picking Eureka, picking a Sculler, and rounding out with the Reckless Pyrosurfer. So let me just quickly go and find Julian's deck here. So let's look at the final deck. Wow, okay. Okay, so I guess I was kind of underestimating how bad he was doing when it came to playables. So I will say in a deck with Mox, Ancestral Recall, Snapcaster, Tamiyo, some Hull Breacher potential with Dak, couple of sweepers. I guess yeah, okay, the dam is right there in the 2-drop slot. Okay. So it ended up being basically straight up 4-color, with the red being the tiny splash. So you need to cast early duress. Sometimes you want to cast 2 mana dam, and you're actually leaning on some double white cards and early white. So a lot of stress on the mana, but I actually think the mana is doing fine. I will say, since you're registering mana confluence in your control deck, the mana is not perfect, but that's just how it goes sometimes. So if we're trying to look at the defensive mechanisms of this deck, we have Oust, we have Balance, we have some counters. We're playing the Sculler, which is obviously not optimal. Then we have some more counter magic with Negation, Removal Spell, Sweeper, Vindicate even for very, very universal removal, like Leyline Binding and Teferi as well. Wincon being, Beza, Subtlety, hacking with Clique. So the win condition department, we're not, we don't have all that much, but we have decent tools to shut down the game and have more resources than the opponent via Ancestral Recall and ways to bring it back and Teferi. So I like Juju Bean's deck. It's cool and it's right up his alley. He loves playing these multicolor, control piles where, you let the opponent come to you, you answer your opponent's stuff, you pull away with tight play. So yeah, he was definitely gonna be happy with this, taking his skill set into account. And yeah, pretty cool. I know that Juju Bean lost in the semifinals, but I mean, 0-1, 3-0. Like, the margins are so slim when it comes to that, so I'm not going to put too much into who actually won, but I'm very interested in the drafting process. So yeah, that's going to do it for Juju Bean's deck. Let me guys know what you think about this one, because 4-color Duress, 4-color Sculler, it's definitely not the archetype that you see every day, but yeah, definitely a cool deck and a cool way that he got there. So yeah, let me know. And now, on to the next one. All right, here we go. The last draft log of the Vegas qualifier. This is from Miguel MS Cards, who is doing an awesome job in a lot of formats, always doing well, and is a very, very pleasant opponent in defeat and in victory. I have only good things to say about this player. I know that Miguel lost the finals of this tournament in brutal fashion and was still willing to share the draft log, and it's just overall great guy. Yeah, so thanks so much again, Miguel, and let's see what he was cooking. So first pick here is already where things get controversial, right? So what about this pack? This pack has, in my opinion, Luminarch Aspirant, Pyrogoyf, and Lightning Bolt. So the thing about Lightning Bolt is going to be better if you're, main red. Luminarch Aspirant is going to be better if you're main white. Pyrogoyf is going to be better if you're splashing and you don't, things don't go as planned. So I don't mind this pick at all. I think Lightning Bolt is a decent card to start with. It's not what you're hoping for, but it'll do the trick. So let's see how it works out for Miguel. Next pick is basically, we're back to the logic that I used earlier. If you can take something like, Dismember, Probe, Strip Mine, Smuggler's Copter, Library of Alexandria, stuff like that, you can kind of delay your decision. But now you also know that you're looking for either, playing aggro, or you're looking to have ways to recur Strip Mine, or both. So yeah, Strip Mine is great to get early. Only one player knows about it. But I guess that is enough to make pack 3 complicated. But I like this. Lightning Bolt into Strip Mine is a cool start. So now we basically see Miguel taking a calculated risk and go for the Generous Plunderer. Miguel is basically saying, if mono red is open, I'm going to go for it, similarly to what Pascal did with mono white. Also, what is he really taking it over here? I mean, a card like Mana Confluence, sure, it's good in your 2-color aggro deck, but I think it's just better to take the good card. Also, Generous Plunderer is a card that crushes artifact strategies handily, so it's kind of like a hate bear in that regard as well. It's like having, Containment Priest out of white that's good against graveyard and sneaky types things. Plunderer is a hate bear as well. I don't mind it. So Bolt, Strip Mine, Generous Plunderer, passing no other red, which is cool. Next pack has 2 red aggro cards in Challenger and Magda. Magda's better, so Miguel ends up taking that card. Yeah, I like that pick. This is not a strong pack in general, so just staying on the course. This is exactly how you win a draft, in my opinion. If you can just go under, the draft is heavy contested for, blue control stuff and combo stuff, and you can just, jam with some red deck. So I like this a lot. But with that being said, next pack, reality sets in, and no more, good red card to take. So Miguel goes for the Dark Confidant over the 5-drop. I like that a lot. Dark Confidant is awesome in low to the ground red-black. So right now, that's basically what Miguel is leaving the door open for. Here is a choice, actually pretty serious choice, between saying, I want to really go for the mono-red plan in Hired Claw. There's also a Braid for hedging, but the kind of hedging that Miguel goes for is the Xander's Lounge. Xander's Lounge is a card that lets you cast Dark Confidant out of your red deck. It's a card that lets you open Ancestral Recall or Time Walk and cast them. So yeah, I don't mind this at all. Taking the Grixis land here is super solid. And now things get, complicated for Miguel, because now, sure, you can take Mind Collapse and have like a, I don't want to call it fringe, I don't want to call it marginal, but it's mediocre, right? You don't want this mediocre card. If you can start hedging for the future, which is that Boros is just the place to be. So Inspiring Vantage is what Miguel is going to take here. I respect that a lot. I think I would have taken the Mind Collapse in the moment, but the more I thought about it, I actually like this a lot. Let's see if that pays off. So this pack has almost nothing unless you want the Delayed Blast Fireball, which is, playable number 22, 23 for your deck. Miguel goes for Suranorp here. So now Miguel is saying, look, I have a strip mine. That potential might be unfulfilled. Let's see what's up with that. I think it's okay to speculate over taking a very, very mediocre card. So yeah, let's see. And here's where Miguel is starting to smell blood about the green. Oh, strip mine, Suranorp. So when you have Suranorp, you want all the, the fast bonds of the world, the Ramanab excavators. It's Titania is a great combo with Suranorp. So pretty cool. And now hedging a little bit with the Raging Ravine. But I mean, what are you going to do? Take Shadow Spear and try and put it on your aggressive creature? It's not really ideal. So Raging Ravine, and all of a sudden, it looks like we're moving into multicolor green. Paradise Druid is, poor man's birds of paradise, but beggars can't be choosers, so Miguel probably doing okay. Guardian Scale Lord, not the best curve topper, especially when you take it as your first white card, but this pack has nothing. Not a Reliquary. Okay, this is a reason to be white. I like this a lot. I missed this when I scrolled through the draft log. Knight of the Reliquary, good with Strip Mine. You're already playing around with maybe having white. You picked up a white land and Inspiring Vantage. So now something is coming together, and it's not the red aggro start that Miguel started to draft, especially when he sees that the other red 2-drop that was in the same pack as Magda, the Challenger, or whatever it's called, the Charger, 2/2 prowess guy, does not return. Fair enough. Then we have to do something else. Picks up a Torsten. Torsten is a card that's good with Flash, good with Sneak, it's good with Natural Order. So yeah, just a spec card, taking it over almost nothing. I really don't value the Augur that much. Feel of the Dead. If you get a Primeval Titan, this can be your late game. You get a lot of multicolor stuff going on. It's fine. Foundation Breaker, sideboarded against artifacts. Very mediocre card. All right, second pack. He is now faced with basically Fury versus Chain Lightning, but I think at this point you basically believe that you can get more red cards, so you can have the second mode on Fury, the free mode, and I think it's super reasonable. Fury is a lot better than Chain Lightning when it works. You already have the better version of Chain Lightning. We're drafting to win the draft here, so Fury definitely a cool card. Here's Nadu. Oh wow, yeah, this is a very, very important part of the draft, I feel like, because right now Miguel is basically saying, okay, in my multicolored green deck, I'm trying to build around Strip Mine. Can I get more combos in there to, to not just be a play green stuff, try and attack, have a little bit of, Lightning Bolt Fury backup. But he's actually trying to go off here. So let's see. Wow. Gets past a Flash to pair with the Torsten. So now the deck has potential for brokenness, which is awesome to have built in. I also believe that that's just another good reason to value blue fixing in the future. Great pickup. Here's Springheart Nantuko, which is a card that's awesome with fetches. It's awesome with Nadu. It has awesome artwork even. Awesome with Nadu because it puts so many creatures into play when you hit more lands off the top, so your fizzle rate will go down. With that being said, I don't think we will get to see the Oracle again, and so our deck can most likely not win on the spot, but maybe the Feel of the Dead can do something in that scenario. So it looks like we're picking Woodfall Primus out of a somewhat weak pack. I guess you can argue for Golos, but this is basically Miguel saying, I want my Flash to be good when I draw it. Woodfall Primus and Torsten puts you to 2 fatties. It also makes Natural Order awesome later when you have like this critical mass, I'll call it. Oh, Malevolent Rumble over Delighted Halflings. So I'm trying to make sense of this one. This is Miguel saying, I believe in my Crucible. I will get my Enabler because nobody's going to want... Oh, sorry. Nobody's going to want... I want to build around Strip Mine and nobody's going to take those cards because the Strip Mine is not there and I have it, right? So if Ramanab Excavator or Crucible is in the draft, I'm going to get it. So I want more ways to put it together. This card looks for Strip Mine. This card mills for Strip Mine if you already have a recursive element in play. So that's why he takes it over Halfling. Also, it finds Primus or Torsten to put together some Flash. So this is a big boy pick, in my opinion. I would probably have picked the Halfling and not thought about this, but I really like it from Miguel here. Now we have Spire Bluff. Our deck is trying to cast Lightning Bolt. Our deck is trying to cast Nadu. This land is serviceable. I like the pick. Here's Nissa. So this is like incredibly poor man's Burst of Paradise. I do like the the pick here. I don't think trying to have black mana is going to get you anywhere, and the other cards are not good in our deck. So Nissa it is. Here's a Triome that casts a bunch of different cards in my deck. That's fine. You know, the white for Knight, red for Bolt, blue for Nadu and Flash. So Triome is a good glue card. And here's actually a good wheel that ended up being a good wheel, but it wasn't good the first time we saw it, which is Territorial Kavu. If you just have a bunch of Triomes and duels, just having like a 2-mana 4/4, even 5/5 later in the game, that's fine. Like a little bit of yard hate, a little bit of filtering. Yeah, decent pickup. Trinket Mage, who knows? Maybe we get some 1-mana equipment that's good with Nadu. Again, we're picking it up for free, so we're just speculating at this point. Penset Prism is a card that we might play in our deck, where it's like, let's call it a double Lotus Petal, and that's good because we play so many colors. Dark Depths is a fun one. I mean, we do have a Knight of the Reliquary, so who knows? Wow, this is sick. Pick 14 Halfling basically makes Miguel look like a genius with the Malevolent Rumble pick. Amazing. Like, obviously, this card in Nadu is like peanut butter and jelly. Crazy pickup. Rootwell is not going to do anything. All right, third pack for Miguel here. Picks up an Oko early on. What else are we looking at here? Yeah, I mean, hoping to wield the Green Sun Zenith. Green Sun will go and get Nadu. But I think Oko is just an awesome standalone card. And with Halfling just coming in 14th, it's reasonable to believe this Zenith will wheel. So I love this pick. Then picking up an Arid Mesa over, let's see, a Seeker's Chariot over Lavaspur Boots. So fetch lands are premium. You want to cast your spells. You want to cast your spells on time. If you don't do that, the opponent most likely will, and you'll lose the game. So love the fetch land pick, and I think it's reasonable to wield the Lavaspur Boots. Since you have the Nadu, who else is going to want this? The Ursa Saga player, I guess. So we just cross our fingers that we get the boots back because we really want equipment to go with Nadu. Chaos Cradle, decent card. I don't think we have a million elves in the deck, but I think it's going to be just fine. I would imagine it's a close pick with Hex Drinker. Love both those cards. Maybe Miguel is really trying to high roll here and trying to wield the Hex Drinker, but looking at this pack, I doubt it. But I guess let's see if I'm wrong. Yes, exactly. This is exactly what you want to see in a pack where you're not giving up, a ton of other good cards. Let's say there was I don't know, Birds of Paradise or some other premier card here. It would be tough to pass the Lightning Greaves, but fortunately we're not giving up a ton here. And Lightning Greaves is added to the deck. Lightning Greaves and Nadu, that's exactly what you want to be doing. And speaking of Birds of Paradise, pick 5 birds is excellent. That's going to help a lot in the 4-color green deck. Great pickup here from Miguel. Here's Sylvan Safekeeper, which is a card that, sure, it comes with Nadu, it protects Nadu and all of that stuff, but it's tough if you're simply just trying to spin the wheels with that card. At some point, you'll have to actually get, actual advantage. So this card is basically oftentimes a package with Titania, which we don't have that much time to pick up, but it's still possible. So I do like the pick over something like, I don't know, Tough Cookie or Steam Vents. Here's Catch Red Triome. Perfect. Another triple on-color Triome. The ability to cast our cards. I can't stress that enough, how important that is. Yeah, here we have Ulmawald Oddity. I guess this is just a matter of how we're doing on playables, how we're doing on the mana situation. Hedge Maze versus Oddity simply comes down to that. If we have enough playables, we take Maze. If we don't, we take the Oddity. And here at the absolute last hurdle, absolute last chance to see a new card, new pack, is Remnant of Excavator. So if we can wield the Green Sun Zenith, we can, between that, Malevolent Rumble, we're doing fine on the Strip Mine situation. So yeah, pretty cool Excavator. It looks like we did wield the Boots, which is very strong. We take the Boots over Fixing once more. We want equipment in our Nadu deck to try and do stupid things. We get Evans's Pilgrim here, which is awesome. We have a little bit of white in our deck, and it's just a Mana Dork. No complaints. Another Mana Dork here, Llanowar Elves. Yeah, 2 of the same card in the pack, so not much to say. Courser is a card that can go crazy with, Fast Bond and Ramanep. Wait a minute, we don't have Fast Bond. Okay, well, still a solid card, I'll say. It's good against aggro, good against control, mid-range, bad against unfair. That's how it goes. And Tough Cookie to round it out with a Research Desk. So, let's look at the deck at its final form here. So the mana base is doing great. Let's see what we're looking at here. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 mana dorks, 5 with the druid. How many fetches did we end up getting? 1 or 2. We ended up getting only 1 fetch, but we have Ramanap Strip Mine. We have some random beaters. We have Scale Lord as our curve topper. 2 things to combo with Flash, Torsten and Primus. Nato and Oko, super solid cards in general. Pitch Fury is going to be rough in this deck, but we do have a Kavu and a Bolt. So hardcasting it will be how we're looking to go about business. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with birds, 9 with druid. So I mean, just we're looking to hardcast Fury basically. We ended up not playing the Corsair Crew Fix. We ended up not playing Zuranorb and Field of the Dead. Makes sense. Pensat Prison did not find the cut. Did not make the cut. I guess Miguel just, counted the sources and went like, oh, I'm blue-green with tiny white splash, tiny blue splash, and that's going to be just fine. You can even argue it's mono-green with a ton of splashes, and Miguel prioritized picking up a lot of fixing, so that definitely worked. Got paid off in the end for the Cradle pick with getting, Sylvan Safekeeper, Pilgrim, and Llanowar relatively late, so those cards basically make it so that this is a good Cradle deck that can actually hardcast stuff like Torsten or Primus, which is important because those cards are going to be Siga in your hand, and not just, getting flashed in every time. That's unfortunately not something you can count on. So this is another, super solid deck. Nothing crazy, but that's just how it goes when the competition is so fierce. Nobody's going to get bonkers decks unless you get really lucky. So of all the deck lists I've seen from this event, it looks like everybody had similarly powered decks, and it was simply a matter of which cards they drew and how they played them out and how they lined up against each other, right? So, I really, really enjoyed this kind of video, and I'm sad I only thought about the idea in week 8. I wish I thought about the idea in week 1, and we would have 8 weeks of awesome content, but, I mean, yeah, this is better than nothing, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it as well. Yeah, once again, congratulations to Oscar, a good friend of mine who won the slot. That trip is going to be awesome. I know he has some revenge to do when it comes to Las Vegas, so let's hope he gets that. And yeah, not much to say other than thanks so much for continued support. I really, really enjoy all the positive comments I'm getting. I'm really happy that you guys noticed that I love this game more than anything. And yeah, the comments are definitely, fueling me to love the game even more. So thank you so much for that, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.